Christianity claims that God is immutable. So the same dude who killed 42 children with a bear for laughing at a bald guy is preaching to turn the other cheek. You can't survive inside a giant fish. The sun can't stand still. Donkeys can't talk. People don't turn to salt. And crucially, people do not return from the dead. Today's video is sponsored by Magic Spoon. You've probably heard me talk about Magic Spoon before, you'll know I love it. Magic Spoon makes super delicious cereal, treats, and now granola. Granola has my heart. Their products fit a variety of lifestyles. They are high protein, no sugar, great for carb-conscious lifestyles. The Magic Spoon treats, which are these cute little bars that come in a variety of delicious flavours, they're so good as filling snacks on the go. I always say this, but it's the first time I've ever found, like, a protein bar snack that is really actually filling. So, highly recommend. The treat bars are 11 to 12 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and 1 to 2 grams of net carbs. The granola, I'm on the granola today. I've just started chocolate granola. It's very luxurious. The granola contains 13 grams of protein and 0 added sugar in delicious flavours like chocolate, peanut butter, I love the peanut butter, your classic mixed berry, honey almond, and of course the Magic Spoon cereal we all know and love, which contains 13 to 14 grams of protein, 0 sugar, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in each serving. I'm not sure why I'm doing this today, this is just the mood I'm in. I love my Magic Spoon, I love all the flavours, I'm on the granola for my breakfast at the moment. Sounds super lame, but I really like having a delicious breakfast to look forward to. Helps me relax to sleep at night. Maybe that's dumb, but it might work for you. You could try it. Use my code EmmaThorne, click the link in the description, or scan the QR code to try Magic Spoon treats or granola today and get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it is backed with a 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. So click the link in the description, go to magicspoon.com/EmmaThorne or scan the QR code today for $5 off. Thank you so much for listening and to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. Hello lovely people, my name is Emma. Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. I apologise in advance. It is ice cream van season and I have the window open, so I don't know, you might hear a creepy rendition of Teddy Bear's Picnic at some point during this video. I can only apologise. Why aren't you a Christian? It's a weird question, in my opinion, but it is one that comes up fairly often, asked both of me and of people I know. Specifically, I've only heard this asked to atheists, which is also kind of weird, but it does get asked a lot, so I thought I would be a helpful little bean and answer in as many ways as possible in one video. Shout out to my nice good Christian friends and viewers. There might be some points that you have answers to, things that you've thought about and you have an explanation for. Please do leave your thoughts down below. I appreciate you. I also want you to know that I understand that your relationship with God and your faith is very important to you, and I do not take that lightly. I am hoping you will give me the grace to explain my own lack of belief and thought process with honesty and integrity. I don't want to walk on eggshells just to avoid awkwardness and end up not actually getting my point across. So just know that my intention is not to put you down for your beliefs, it is to hopefully help you understand mine. So why aren't you a Christian? Answer number 1. I don't know, man. Why aren't you a Hindu? I'm just not. People ask the question, why aren't you a Christian, as if that's the default state of being. There are about 2.38 billion Christians in the world, and that is a lot of people, but there are 8 billion people overall. So it's not like they're the majority. If anything, the default, by pure numbers, is to be a non-Christian. So we should be asking the question the other way around. And I think it's a lot more valuable to ask the question, why are you a Christian? Because hey, I love my Socrates. Every belief should be able to be defended against the question, why? And as per the Socratic method, if you don't have a good foundation for that belief, you should get rid of the belief. Anyway, why aren't you a Christian? Answer number 2. I've read the Bible. Kind of a lot. People asking me this question tend to assume the opposite, and say things like, try reading the Bible. And I have. I guess because of this idea of the Holy Spirit coming upon you when you read it to help you understand. We'll worry about that later. Some Christians seem to assume that if you had read the Bible, then everything would make perfect sense and you would be a believer, but obviously there wouldn't be all the different denominations and arguments within the faith if that was true, so I read bits of the Bible growing up in religious studies classes. The only exam I've ever gotten 100% in was a religious studies class on Christianity. I promise I have always been a nerd for this stuff. Everyone who thinks I just haven't read it or understood it properly, I would put money on the fact that most people who say that to me have not read as much about the Bible as I have not talked to as many scholars about the Bible as I have. When my dad became a Christian at 50 years old after a lifetime of being a staunch atheist, I gave it the old college try. I read the Bible with all the openness of heart and mind that I have in me, and I asked questions of believers, and just nothing changed. The experience just did not make me a Christian. Read those books cover to cover, and you tend to end up with a lot more questions than answers. Speaking of which, why aren't you a Christian, number 3? I just don't vibe with the holy book. I know that's gonna be a contentious one. Before you come at me with your sick verbal karate chops, obviously I think the generic overall message of current Christianity and mainstream Christianity to be a good and kind and helpful person, I love that. We all get behind that. I think stories about Jesus say a lot of good things. That's all rad stuff. The actual messaging of the religion is not all that, and it is cherry-picking to pretend that it is. Otherwise, all Christians would just be humanists, and we would all hang out together in our lovely humanist celebrations and have a wonderful time, and there would be no violence committed in the name of the Christian God, etc., etc. Like I said, I read the Bible, and the messaging of some of those stories, including some of the most important ones, are kind of the antithesis of moral goodness, in my opinion. The concept of heaven and hell is repulsive to me. I personally don't understand how any individual could be happy with the idea of going to heaven, knowing that billions of other people, most of them good, are off to hell for eternal damnation. That's sick, in my opinion. However you slice it, the God of the Bible commits and commands genocide. He turns a lady to salt for no good reason. He was gonna kill his own prophet Moses for not circumcising his son, and the whole circumcision thing in general is a bit fucking whack. Never mind killing your own favourite person for not joining in. He again nearly killed all of his followers after the Exodus, and Moses, whom God nearly killed before, had to talk him down. He sent bears to maul 42 children to death for bullying a bold man. We don't have time to talk about how the Bible treats women as both part of God's teaching and him just letting it be cool. You worship another god, who I claim doesn't exist, you die for some reason. But you can trade your women around like Pokemon cards, who cares? What do I care? Actually, could you sleep with your sister-in-law for me? Wait, I'm sorry, he pulled out? Dead. What about Job? A good, honest follower, and God decided to make a bet with Satan, God's choice, to ruin Job's life to the point where he was begging God for death, just to what? Prove a point? Was God bored? The guy's a psychopath. How are you telling me the Bible is divinely inspired and your God is an all-loving God? Are you kidding? Apologists have dedicated their lives to trying to wangle some justification for the most horrific stuff. And I think that is the reason that fundamentalists seem to just opt for, no, he is an angry and vengeful God, and you've got to do what he says or he'll fucking destroy you. Why am I not a Christian? Answer number 4. The contradictions in teaching and in morals. Following on from number 3, there is not a consistency in moral teachings in Christianity because they rely on the Bible, which, as I so often harp on about, is a selection of ancient texts by different authors with different purposes and different beliefs and different agendas. Jesus says that he is not here to change God's message, and yet he teaches compassion for one's enemies, whereas, as previously discussed, God seemed to really take a hatchet even to his friends if he caught a whiff of dissent. There's a very confusing argument about the Old Covenant no longer being valid, despite, again, what Jesus says about not changing anything about the law, and yet it's still very important that we learn and follow most of the 10 Commandments. Just not the ones that are obviously silly. Just the ones that tend to benefit, I don't know, men in power, mostly. Those are the ones we should follow. I chose this t-shirt for a reason, let's be honest. Where is the logic in human beings, fallible human beings, deciding which of God's commandments were meant just for the Israelites in ancient times, and which ones are good for all time. No wonder there are so many denominations and arguments and apologists from different sides arguing about this day after day. On top of all this nonsense, Christianity claims that God is immutable. His character, his purpose, allegedly unchanging. So the same dude who killed 42 children with a bear for laughing at a bald guy is preaching to turn the other cheek. It just doesn't make sense, guy. Why would an all-knowing, all-loving, all-powerful God divinely inspire a text that could be misread, misinterpreted, and mistranslated by humans for thousands of years? Why would he not make his word also immutable to change and misinterpretation? The only explanation is something, it's a test, which is not, in my opinion, very moral or very logical. And an immoral, illogical God is not one I'd be interested in following. Similarly, but slightly more nerdily, the contradictions between the texts and within the texts. I'm not going to go into massive detail because you can check out a video that I already made right here, which is a sort of beginner's guide to contradictions within Bible texts. I think it's really fun and interesting, and because I am a good bean, I included most of the apologetic explanations for a lot of them and why I don't think that they work. It is just a fact. No one with a functioning conscience and a shred of logic can deny that there are contradictions between the books of the Bible, and sometimes within a single book itself. Ecclesiastes says the earth will remain forever. The New Testament claims in a couple of places that there will be a new heaven and earth. Did Paul visit Jerusalem 3 years after his conversion, meeting only Peter and James and leaving after 15 days, as per Galatians? Or did he go almost straight to Jerusalem, meeting Barnabas and the apostles and preaching openly, as in Acts 9? These things cannot all be true, and a big stumbling block I had in ever coming close to being a believer is the idea that anyone is supposed to know which bits are true and which are human error, or translation error, or deliberate change, or just written by different humans telling a different story with a different theological point. Or, worst of all, as I have mentioned before, that there's some third narrative not written in any book of the Bible that means all things are true. I hate that people do that. Oh, the Gospels say different things about the crucifixion. Well, we'll just combine them all into a big mega narrative that is not in the Bible at all and pretend that every single thing was said. I'm an apostle now and this is my gospel. Again, allegedly the Holy Spirit is supposed to guide your interpretation of the book as you read it, but it can't be doing a very good job because Christians all disagree. Why aren't you a Christian? Answer number 6. I've never understood why this isn't more of a consideration for religious people. The fact that one's religion is largely and most likely influenced by the region of the world you were born in and/or your parents' faith. Do every other Christian, Muslim and Buddhist equally think that they are so lucky to have been born into a country where the majority religion is the one true religion? Like, phew, won that lottery. You can't all be right. I've spoken to the loveliest, most well-meaning and intelligent Christians who say things like, I actually pulled away from the church and I studied and I came to it and was born again of my own accord later. They just always happened to be born again into almost or exactly the same faith that they started with, that they grew up with, that is the majority religion in their country. The bias towards that religion just doesn't seem to bother anyone. Maybe I should consider the fact that there are thousands of other religions with just as long and ancient a history as mine. You spent all that time studying the Bible and Christian apologetics. How much time did you give to the Tripitaka? Or the Tanakh? Or the Veda? Really, it harkens back to my very first point. Why Christian at all? A lot of Christians, call me a gosh dang fool for being an atheist, often gleefully pointing out how silly I'll feel when I die and I go to hell. But again, they're assuming that Christianity is the default alternative. If it is, it's only because of your geographical location and/or your peer group. If atheism is so silly, why don't I pick up my Quran and dedicate my life to studying that? Why does it have to be the Christian Bible? And why does it have to be the King James Version? Not today, Emma. We'll deal with that another time. Why am I not a Christian? Number 7. Maybe this should have been at the top of the list, but hey-ho, we're here now. I'm not a Christian because I don't believe in God. It sounds pretty obvious. It's a pretty fundamental requirement to being a Christian. But I don't believe in God, and you need to believe in God to believe in the divinity question mark, something else Christians don't totally agree on, of Jesus and his dying for our sins. That is the main thing you must believe to be a Christian. For a lot of reasons, I don't believe in God. Chiefly because there is no evidence for him. There are arguments people make about some event or matter that originated the universe, and I kind of think that's just being tricksy and trying to do a gotcha. Because if something we don't know about or understand was at the beginning, I consider that a science we don't yet understand. If you want to call it God, that's cool, man, I don't have a problem with that. But for the sake of the conversation, can we agree that somebody who says they believe in God means, in the traditional sense, they believe in a creator deity? In this case, one who started and then interfered with human existence. That's what I don't believe in. I don't believe that we or this planet were created, and if I see an argument from design in the comments, I might do a little scream. Look at the trees, or the human eyeball is so intricate. It's not proof of God, it's evidence for evolution. If God made everything, it'd be perfect. And okay, the fall, Adam and Eve original sin. So what, Adam and Eve didn't have an inverted retina and a too narrow pelvis? Meandering arteries and so on before they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden? Did humans physically change after original sin was committed? That leads me on to another point. Oh gosh, there are actually quite a lot. Number 8, I believe the most important Bible stories are ahistorical. Meaning, not historical fact. The creation story and Adam and Eve, impossible. You will find very few modern Christians, outside of maybe the Bible Belt in the US, or, little fundamentalist sects in various places. You will find very few who do believe that that is a historical fact, on account of the overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Yes, most modern Christians agree, but the question remains, if the story is allegorical, where did original sin come from? What was the fall of humanity? Never mind the moral question of why was sin a part of God's plan in the first place. Every story which can be described as allegorical then requires its own explanation. And we return again to the question of why it's left to fallible human beings to interpret which stories are literally true and which are moral fairy tales. The Exodus from Egypt didn't happen. The Great Flood did not happen. The fall of Jericho did not happen. The lives of ancient patriarchs are impossible. Humans have never lived to hundreds of years old, and these people are meant to be God's chosen. In the Christian tradition, their lives are fundamentally important to the faith. But they did not happen. You can't survive inside a giant fish, the sun can't stand still. Donkeys can't talk, people don't turn to salt, and crucially, people do not return from the dead. When it comes to the Bible and Christian teachings, you have the choice. You decide what the most likely explanation is. Either magic is real, and/or God did a miracle in every impossible circumstance. Or this was written by a human being who made it up based on existing traditions and superstition. For me, the latter is more likely. That leads me to my next point. Number 9. I am not a Christian because this ancient book seems to have lost relevance in the modern world. Okay, there are several reasons for that, but chiefly I want to ask this. Where did God go? According to the Bible, God created the world and us in it, and then he was picking specific favourite people, giving them tasks, giving them earthly rewards for completing those tasks, smiting them for misbehaving. Bears. He was making bets with Satan, sending plagues. I guess eventually he just had enough and sent down his own son, who is part of him, who does a bunch of magic tricks and teaches some morals, and then dies, returns to life, and immediately goes away again. After telling his followers he'll be back in a jiffy, and then God is just absent for 2,000 years. Jesus went out for cigarettes and milk and is not coming back. Granted, if you're Catholic, and other Christians too, you might believe there are miracles every day proving that God is still with us. But they're super low-key miracles compared to what he was doing before. God was commanding armies, destroying cities, killing every firstborn Egyptian child, and now what? Making statues of Jesus' mum look like they're crying? Don't you think that's weird? Again, you decide what is more likely. Did ancient peoples use God as an explanation for things that they didn't understand, based on existing traditions? And now, the more scientific explanations we have for things, the fewer gaps we have to fill with God, and the less God seems to be responsible for in day-to-day life. Or did God really do all the creatings and all the miracles, say be right back and then disappear for 2,000 years? Leaving us with a perpetual supply of Christians insisting that the end is nigh. It is upon us right now. Always right now. 2,000 years of it. I'm getting tired. Why am I not a Christian? Answer number 10. Let's make this the last one because 10 is a good number, isn't it? And I've been talking for a long time. As much as apologists often come up with, in my opinion, very subpar explanations for this one, a rational person who has looked into the subject cannot deny that lots of Bible stories, lots of traditional Hebrew stories, are inspired by earlier traditions about different gods and different people. I won't go too ham on this one because, again, I have an earlier video with Dr. Josh talking about the creation story and the Great Flood. They're almost certainly inspired by ancient Mesopotamian myths. So is the Tower of Babel. Moses floating down a river in a little basket is a retelling of the birth myth of Sargon of Akkad. So once again, we just have to ask ourselves, what is the most likely explanation? Is it that human beings, aware of and inspired by existing myths, used known stories to make a theological point about their god? Or that the Bible stories really happened and just coincidentally happened to echo earlier myths? There you go, my friends. Those are some answers, 10 answers to the question, why aren't you a Christian? I hope that was interesting and enlightening. I'd love to hear your own answers to this question, and I'd like to hear your explanations, if you have them, for why the problems that I have aren't a problem for you. But gosh dang, be civil with each other. If you have to be a poop about it, be a poop to me. I can take it. I can take it. And if you are raging and frothing at the mouth and about to start hammering the keyboard about how stupid and pathetic I am, just remember, according to you, I am already going to hell, whether I make this video or not. So, it's no skin off your nose either way, really. Thank you so much for watching. Do like this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. I have a million bazillion... That is hyperbole. I have a lot of videos on this topic. There's a big old atheist playlist. There's a Bible scholarship playlist. All sorts of things. Just go on my channel, subscribe, figure it out. Try pressing the notification button. I keep getting comments and messages from people being like, oh, I haven't seen a video from you for ages. And I've been making a video and posting a video at the same time every week for like 5 years. So they're just not showing up on everyone's homepage. Apparently people don't use the subscription feature anymore. So hit the notification button so that you actually see my videos, please and thank you. Do check out today's sponsor using the link down below. The best way to support this channel is via the Patreon. With that, I must give a big old thank you to my giant chickens and colossal quackers over on Patreon. Especially Conla. God damn it, Conla. I'm allowed to say that because I don't believe in God. Most importantly, have yourselves a very lovely week, and I will see you really soon.